I love my job. Genuinely, I really do. Helping women-owned businesses navigate social media in a way that works for them is something I find so rewarding. But if there's one thing that gets right on my last nerve, it's how much absolute BS is out there about how to market your business on social media. Honestly, it infuriates me. Not just because I have no time for fluff and nonsense, but because this advice, the kind that gets thrown around as if it's gospel, so often ignores the fact that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to marketing your business. What works for someone else might not work for you and your business, and that's because what's right for your business depends on so many factors: your goals, your circumstances, your stage of life, your strengths, and even the way you prefer to work. So today's episode is dedicated to breaking down just a few of the biggest myths that I hear about social media marketing, the ones that make my blood pressure rise, the ones that if you believe them could actually hold you back rather than help you move forward, and the ones that I have been told over and over again by women who have joined Boss Your Socials Club or come to work with me and are just feeling rubbish and like failures. And so I'm putting it out there. I'm busting some of the things that I've heard and giving my view on it in this week's episode. But before we dive in, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to Show Up and Be Heard, the podcast that exists to help women like you simplify your business and your life so that you can stop feeling so overwhelmed. I am your host, Becky McAvoy, owner and founder of Be Heard Socials, and I am an award-winning social media marketer and international speaker who specialises in content strategy and organic growth on social media. Through this podcast, as well as my own social media, email community, and my award-winning membership, the Boss Your Socials Club, my mission is to cut through the noise to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand for businesses that can't afford to outsource or who don't have the teams required to implement most of the advice that is being given to them. So if you want to cut through the noise and BS and get practical, actionable advice tailored specifically to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand, or if you want to be part of a supportive community where women entrepreneurs can feel connected and inspired to achieve their dreams, then keep listening because you are in the right place. To get more tips like the one you hear in this podcast, make sure you join my email list community through the link in the show notes. And without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode. Okay, I'm getting stuck straight in today. I'm not filling this with a little bit of chat, which, trust me, is paining me because if you have listened to this for a while or if you know me at all, you know that I'm a woman who loves to chat. But I want to get straight into the juicy stuff. I want to get straight into busting some of the BS that I've heard. That just makes me sad because all it does is make women-owned businesses and business owners feel rubbish and feel like they're failing at social media because they can't do all this stuff that they're being told that they have to do. So I'm getting straight into what those things are. I'm going to cover 5 of them today. There are a ton more, but I'm going to cover 5 of the main ones. And the first one is this. It's a big one. You need to be on every social media platform to be successful, and or a variation of this. You need to be, if you want to be successful, you have to be on this platform. You have to be on LinkedIn, or you have to be on Instagram, or you have to be on TikTok, whatever, insert relevant social media platform. For me, this is the quickest way to burnout and the quickest way to resentment, especially for small business owners who already have a million things on their plates, right? Because let me ask you this. If you're trying to master Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, and I'm calling it Twitter because I refuse to call it X for my own reasons, YouTube and Threads all at once, how well do you think you're actually showing up on any of them? Because, spoiler alert, you're probably stretched way too thin to be effective anywhere if you don't have a massive team around you or loads of resources around you, which I know that if you're listening to this, you are probably in the position where you don't have those things. And you just can't be on every single platform. Instead, what you should be doing is picking 1 or at maximum 2 platforms at any time where your ideal audience actually spends time, or that you enjoy. And I'll touch on that again I'll touch on that a bit more in a minute, and focus on doing them well. It's quality over quantity always. And here's the thing, once you get into a good rhythm and start getting quicker at creating content on your chosen platform, or engaging on your chosen platform, or just getting to grips with your chosen platform, you can always test out new platforms and add to them if you want to. But you absolutely do not need to be everywhere to be successful. And if you are seeing somebody that seems to be everywhere, chances are they've been doing it for a very long time, and they've taken this approach. And like they've done a little bit, they've dipped their toe in the water with one platform and built it up. Don't measure yourself against somebody that you don't know how you compare to in terms of how much they know about social media, how long they've been doing it, all of that kind of stuff. Or maybe those people have massive teams and budgets and resources behind them, and they've got different people working on different platforms for them. Maybe they outsource to certain people, and fair play to them. Like, that's absolutely brilliant. That's like fantastic for them. But don't compare yourself to them and stretch yourself too thin by thinking that you need to do the same. Now, earlier I said choose either where your ideal audience hangs out, or what your favorite platform is, what one you like the most. Because this is kind of combining two lots of BS into one. And it's why I sort of said the other thing that grinds my gears a little bit is when people say you have to be on this platform because that's where your audience is going to be. I even as a social media marketer, I get that quite a lot with LinkedIn. Like, I have to be on LinkedIn, and it is one of my goals. I do need to start moving towards that. Like, I'm comfortable with the other platforms. I do need to at some point, but I don't have to be there. And for a while, when I was being told it, when I was trying things on different platforms, I don't like LinkedIn, and I might grow to like it. That's the other thing I'm told is, oh, you'll like it if you go on there. And it's like, stop telling me what I'm going to like and what I think. I am sure I could reap many benefits from being more active on LinkedIn. I think it would be great for my business. But if I'm doing it at a point that I don't enjoy it or hate it, for me, I quickly start to resent it. And actually, that's for me, like, I'm comfortable with the other platforms. It's not necessarily about getting confident, but it's just me finding a way to do it that works for me. Like I said, I will make it one of my future plans, but I don't have to do it right now, and nor do you on whatever platform that might be. But it might also be for you that your main social media goal, and this is why it depends on your goals, like I said in the intro of this episode, if somebody isn't even asking what your goals are, what your circumstances are, that kind of thing, before giving you advice, then they can't tell you what platform you should be on, because your main goal, and you might not even realize it from social media, could be just to get a little bit more confident with showing up and putting yourself out there. And actually, that doesn't really matter what platform you do it on. You're better doing it on a platform that you enjoy and like, because the goal is the confidence, not necessarily what comes from it. And if that's Facebook, or if it's TikTok, or whatever it might be, but your ideal audience are on LinkedIn, you can go on to Facebook and get confident on there. And then when you've got that confidence, you can put that into practice on LinkedIn, because you've reached that goal. And then your next goal is to start reaching, more where your ideal audience is hanging out. So it's just BS to say that you have to be on every social media platform, because it's the quickest way to burn out. It will stretch you too thin. And this is kind of myth 1 and 2, but it'll BS 1 and BS 2, whatever we want to call it. But they kind of wrap in together. It's also BS to say you have to be on this platform if no one has ever asked you what your goals are and what you most need to get from social media at the moment. So stop letting people give you that BS advice. Okay, the second one, you have to post every single day if you want to grow. Or it could just be you have to post X amount of times if you want to grow. Or it could be you have to post 2 reels, 1 carousel, 3 single image posts, and do a twirl and stand on your head at the same time with 9.37 hashtags. Like, it's just not true. There's not a single formula to success about how many times you have to do anything to be able to grow. And also, grow is so vague. Like, growing, you can grow by 1 follower or 10,000 followers. You've still grown with both of them, obviously. I'd love to grow by 10,000 followers, but growth is growth. Like, if you're growing by a handful of followers or 10,000, how are we defining grow? So again, if somebody isn't actually asking you the questions around that, then stop listening to them telling you that you have to do this, that, or the other. I hate this one. I really hate it, because I see so many women pressuring themselves to churn out content every single day just for the sake of it, or to show up on their stories every single day. Here's the truth, right? Posting every day does not automatically mean you'll grow. What actually matters is consistency and value. If you're posting every day, but half your content is rushed, uninspired, or just filling space, you're not going to see the results you want. And actually, growth comes predominantly, not necessarily from what you post out on your grid, but from things like doing proactive engagement and that kind of stuff. I've just done a challenge in the Boss Your Socials Club Pro tier on setting up proactive engagement, where we spend well, they've decided what is going to be the right amount of time for them to engage, but lots of them have just chosen what I recommend, 15 minutes a day engaging, and actually that's what's going to help you grow. So if your goal is to grow, yes, you need to get content out there. It's important to get content out there, but you might want to spend more time doing other things on social media. I have done an episode in the past. It's one of my favorite episodes because I bang on about engagement all the time, on what engagement really means and how to do it. So you can go and listen to that. I will link to it in the show notes. But yeah, basically, just posting all the time for the sake of posting isn't going to help you grow. And like I said, it might not even be the main thing that you need to do to grow. Like I said, it's about being consistent, and consistency on this same vein doesn't mean posting every single day. It means posting at a pace that suits you and your lifestyle and what that means. You do need to be realistic on the kind of engagement you'll get on your posts if you're posting like once a month compared to 3 times a week, for example. But that's okay. Like, as long as you manage those expectations and you're realistic with yourself, it's about doing what is right for you. And also, the thing to remember is that one strategic, well thought out post can have a bigger impact than 7 posts you threw together in a panic because you felt like you had to post something or you had to get something out every day. And also, you know, in the name of being real, which I'm all about, social media is meant to support your business, not consume every waking hour of your life. If you need a bit more help with getting your head around the what, the why, the where, and the how of consistency, you can also check out one of my previous episodes where I'll break it all down. I link to that in the show notes as well. But yeah, I'm going to repeat that because I think it's really, really important. Social media is meant to support your business, not consume every waking hour of your life. And you need to tell yourself that regularly, because that's how, like, when you're listening to all of the BS out there, that's what it can end up doing. It can end up consuming you. And like I said earlier, it's the quickest way to burnout. It's the quickest way to resenting it. And it's the quickest way to not being consistent, because you're not doing it in a way that aligns with you. And you can do it in a way that aligns with you and be successful. Okay, so myth number 3, BS number 3, you need thousands of followers to make sales. Nope, 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 and nope again. A highly engaged small audience is far more valuable than a huge following of people who don't actually care about what you do. Of course, having more followers means a bigger potential conversion pool statistically, but at the end of the day, what actually drives sales isn't numbers, it's relationships and trust. And I say this as somebody who launched a membership, the Boss Your Socials Club, with what would be classed, I'm very proud of the size of my email list, but it would be classed by lots of people as a very small email list. So at the point that I launched Boss Your Socials Club, I didn't have those huge numbers that everybody said that I should have. Conversion rate wise, I shouldn't have had any kind of success with people signing up based on the stats that people give you. But I did. I launched to my not small email list that some people would call small. And within the first month, I had 33 founding members join Boss Your Socials Club, which was incredible in terms of percentage conversion rates when we worked that out. And that is because I'd spent time building relationships and trust with people, and showed that they knew that I was good at what I did, and they knew that they could trust me. Because think about it, would you rather have a couple of hundred people who are actively engaged, who trust you, who see you as the go-to person in your field, or 50,000 people who couldn't care less and just scroll past your post without a second thought, and you got absolutely zero engagement because none of them were interested in what you were saying? So instead of obsessing over how many followers you have, focus on connecting with the people who are already there. Engage with them. We've spoken about engagement already, and I've linked to that episode for you in the show notes, so you can go and listen to it. Provide value, build relationships, because that is what ultimately leads to sales. And yes, growing your audience is important and conversion rates matter, but it is not the be all and end all. And you do not need thousands of followers to make sales or to be successful. Okay, so I'm like whipping through these for me because normally I like to go off on various different tangents because of how my brain works, but I'm whipping through them. So I'm going to stick with it. Number four, there is only one framework that works. You must do this thing, my tried and trusted process, because that's the thing that works and that's the thing that's going to make you successful. I see this all the time. Some expert out there has a foolproof system, and I'm putting foolproof in air quotes for a reason. And if you don't follow their exact method to the letter, and if you don't invest with whatever course or service that they're selling, or you don't work with them forever, apparently you're doomed. Like, you can only be successful if you follow the way that they say to do things, and if you continue giving them money forever, telling you how to do things. Right. Listen, frameworks can be helpful. They can give you structure, but no single method is the be all and end all. If someone is telling you that their way is the only way, it is a massive red flag because your business is unique and what works for one person might not work for you. And I am saying this as somebody who has created a framework I am very proud of. It's actually exactly why I created my framework, the Boss Framework. I'll link to the episode to explain all what the Boss Framework is in the show notes if you want to listen to it. But this framework was deliberate. My framework was deliberately designed to come at it with an approach that one size doesn't fit all, and that one size fits all solutions don't work. The Boss Framework is designed to help you build a sustainable, strategic approach to social media that fits your business, your goals, and your way of working. It gives you a solid foundation while still allowing for flexibility. It's not my way or you're doomed for failure forever. I mean, if you've ever felt that traditional frameworks don't quite fit with your content, you're not alone. And you don't have to force yourself into a box that wasn't designed for you. And actually, when I work with my members around the Boss Framework, a piece of advice that I give one person on how to approach using that framework is completely different to what I give somebody else. Because, like I said, it's flexible enough that it's not, this is the exact way that you have to do things. And when someone tells you that their way is the only way, like I said earlier, it is a massive, massive red flag. Um, so yeah, please do go check out my framework. I'm not going to tell you that it's the only way. What the Boss Framework is set up to do is about finding what fits, tweaking what doesn't, and ultimately creating a system and a way to approach your content that aligns with your goals and how you work best. But if you don't think it's right for you, that's okay. It might not be the way you work, and that's fine. And if I was sat here going, yeah, no, I'm a genius with social media. I mean, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm a genius at social media. And if you don't join Boss Your Socials Club and if you don't stay in there forever, then you're a terrible person that's doomed for failure. I'd be talking absolute rubbish. So don't listen to anybody that says it, because there is a lot of that noise in the online space and in the business world. And I'm calling BS on it because it's absolute BS. Okay, so myth number five. Honestly, I could probably give you about 500 different things that are myths or BS that I just want to bust, but I don't have time in the episodes. So I'm not going to. I'm going to end on this one. You need to spend hours on social media to be successful. And I hear this from some particularly big names all the time. And I'm not going to name who them big names are, but they tell you that you need to spend X number of hours doing whatever. And it's just absolute BS. Because again, how do you define successful? Like, sure, if you spend hours on it, you're probably going to grow quicker and faster, but you're probably also going to burn out if you don't have that support around you. So no, absolutely no. It's BS. You do not need to spend hours on social media to be successful. And actually, one of your biggest goals for social media as a business owner should probably be to spend as little time on social media as you possibly can in the most efficient way that you can, that gives you the results that you want for your goals. And, like, honestly, I feel so passionately about this one. It's a really big one because, I mean, especially for those of us who have, actual lives to live outside of Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever, who don't want every minute of our waking day to be around being present on social media and doing all this stuff on social media, like I said, who actually want a life around it and who aren't driven by, just spending all their time on there. I am a social media marketer and I don't want to do that. I have really strong boundaries around how I spend my time on social media, because the truth is, with a solid strategy and the right systems in place, you can get great results without being glued to your phone 24/7. It is about working smarter, not harder. Batch creating content, yes, big advocate of that. Scheduling in advance, absolutely, massive advocate of that. Setting intentional times for engagement so you're not mindlessly scrolling for hours, absolute game changer. I will die on that hill. Um, yeah, that's it. It's about being strategic and it's about being focused with your time. So you're using social media as a tool for growth without letting it take over your life, because you should never let it take over your life. I'm taking a deep breath. Like I said, I could carry on. And I've realized as I've said some of those, I've got riled up when I wasn't even riled up at the start. Because honestly, this stuff really annoys me and we need to call it out as BS. And I am calling BS on these things. But I'm also going to step down from my soapbox because otherwise we'll be here for hours and hours. And some of you may like that, but many of you won't. And I, again, do actually have other things to do with my day. So I'm officially down off my soapbox. I have taken a deep breath, but that felt good to get off my chest. Social media, right, is an incredible tool for small businesses, but only when we approach it in a way that actually works for us, not by following blanket advice that makes us feel like we are failing before we even start. We want someone, when we're giving advice, to ask questions back, to give us the answer for us, rather than just do this thing, or this thing. I would love to know, like I said, I've got tons more, but I would love to know what social media rules or hacks that you've been told that you're unsure about. Have you heard any advice that just doesn't sit right with you, or makes you feel like giving up on social media, or just makes you feel like a failure or a terrible person? Honestly, I would love to hear your thoughts. So please drop me a message, send me a DM, or just come and chat to me. Come over and connect with me and chat to me, because I would love to hear it. And maybe in the future, I will create a future podcast on my thoughts around what you share with me. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody that needs to hear it. Share the love. I would love you to do that. I'm sure they would love you to do that, because then they're getting the advice that they need as well. And yeah, let's call out the BS and see it for what it is. BS. Thank you so much for listening to Show Up and Be Heard, but please don't go without telling me your name. I genuinely love meeting new people and making new connections. So if you don't already, I'd love it if you'd come find me on Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook and drop me a message to say hello and let me know what you thought of the episode. The link to all my socials are in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode or found it useful, then I'd really appreciate it if you could take just a few minutes to give it a review on whatever platform you are listening on, because every one I get really does make me do a little squeal and a big happy dance. Finally, more than anything else, please always remember, realizing that you're not actually meant to do this stuff alone is the first step to making it easier. So I'll see you next time.